If someone had told me that at the age of 77, I would have to spend 2 months of my life in a nursing home, I would have laughed out loud and dismissed the idea immediately. I always believed I was healthy enough to care for myself, at least for many more years. But life never asks for our opinion before throwing unexpected turns our way. I entered the nursing home with the simple thought that this was only a temporary phase, a place for me to recover after a serious illness. I believed I would soon leave and return to the independent life I was accustomed to. But as the days passed, I realized that a nursing home was not just a place for recovery or a waiting room for time. It was an entirely different world, where every person carried a story. Stories about aging, acceptance, loneliness, and regrets that could never be undone. I met people who had been living there for years. Some still had family visiting them, while others had long been forgotten. Some accepted their fate with calmness, enjoying each day with quiet ease. But some carried heavy regrets, their distant gazes searching for something lost long ago. I once sat beside an old man who always kept an old photograph with him, silently looking at it daily, as if trying to hold on to the last fragments of his memories. I also listened to an elderly woman share her unfinished dreams, the things she wished she had done when she still had time and health on her side. During those 2 months, I recovered physically and expanded my understanding of life. The long nights of reflection, the endless conversations over bland tea. These experiences taught me lessons I might never have understood otherwise. Some lessons were painful, others gentle, but all were necessary. And I realized that while today we may be young, strong, and confident in life, we will all grow old one day. When that moment comes, will we reflect on a fulfilling journey or a life full of regrets? From then, I took away 7 lessons, things I believe everyone should know, regardless of age. Preparing for old age is not about waiting for it to arrive. It is about living in a way that, when time has passed, we can smile without regret. Lesson 1. True happiness comes from simple things. I met an 85-year-old woman at the nursing home who always smiled warmly. Whether it was sunny or rainy or the meal that day was delicious, she remained cheerful, as if nothing could trouble her. This made me curious. One day I asked her, "Grandma, how is it that you're always so happy? Have you never faced hardships in life?" She chuckled, the gentle laugh of someone who had lived nearly a century. She replied, "Oh, my dear, who hasn't faced hardships? But I don't dwell on what I've lost. I cherish what I still have." Her words left me speechless. All my life I had thought happiness was something grand. Success, recognition, achievements that we must strive for. But watching her, I realized that true happiness lies in the simplest and most ordinary things. She could no longer move as swiftly as before, yet she patiently poured herself a cup of tea every morning, savoring each sip and feeling the warmth spread through her hands. She no longer had frequent visits from loved ones, but she treasured even the smallest conversations with those around her, even if it was just a casual exchange about the weather. Her eyesight was not as sharp as in her youth, yet she loved feeling the morning sunlight on her face, as if it were a quiet reminder that she was still alive. She taught me something invaluable. When we stop chasing happiness, we realize it is never far away. It doesn't lie in luxury or grand achievements, but in the everyday moments, a heartfelt conversation, a favorite song, or simply waking up in the morning knowing we have another day to live. Lesson 2. Forgiveness brings peace. During my 2 months at the nursing home, I met many people who carried resentment in their hearts toward their children, siblings, old friends, and even a deceased spouse. Stories of broken relationships, misunderstandings left unresolved, apologies left unsaid, all left wounds that never truly healed. I remember an elderly woman in her 80s who often sat alone by the window, her gaze distant, as if waiting for something. One day, as we talked, She shared that she once had a sister who had passed away years ago. They had been very close, but a small conflict had driven them apart. Each waited for the other to make amends. But their silence became an unbridgeable gap as the years passed. Her sister was already gone when she realized that time was waiting for no one. From that moment, I promised myself that forgiveness is not for others. It is for my peace. I cannot control how others treat me, but I can choose how I respond. I choose to forgive, not because someone else deserves it, but because I deserve peace. So, if there is someone in your heart you need to forgive, do not hesitate. Do not wait until it is too late to realize that the only thing we truly lose by holding on to resentment is ourselves. Lesson 3. Loneliness is the greatest illness. When I first entered the nursing home, I thought the biggest challenge for the people living there was their health, aches and pains, memory decline, or the relentless ailments of old age. But after a while, I realized that the true hardship was not physical illness, but loneliness. Some people had not had a visitor in months, even years. Some had children, but their children were too busy with work, their families, and their lives. Others had no living relatives, as old friends had passed away one by one, leaving them alone with only 4 silent walls. No matter how attentive the staff was, they could provide care, but could never replace the warmth of family. I remember an elderly man who had once been a university professor, dedicating his life to his career. He had an impressive legacy, respected by generations of students. But now, all he had was a small cabinet with a few old books, a modest corner of a shared room, and long, silent afternoons by the window, watching the world outside with no one waiting for him. Loneliness is not just a state. It is a disease. It slowly eats away at the soul, disconnecting people from the world. When we are young, we believe we can stand strong on our own, but at some point, we understand that true strength does not lie in absolute independence, but in genuine relationships. I wish I had spent less time chasing money and status, and more time with those who truly mattered. I wish I had called an old friend instead of postponing it. I wish I had spent an extra evening with my family instead of working overtime. Ultimately, what remains is not what we own, but who is still by our side. Lesson 4. Health is more valuable than wealth. I met a man at the nursing home who had once been a highly successful businessman. In his youth, he owned multiple properties, drove luxury cars, dined at high-end restaurants, and traveled the world. He once believed that he could control life, buy comfort, and ensure security with enough money. But now, he sat in a wheelchair, his hands trembling, his legs too weak to stand on their own. He could not eat without assistance, nor dress himself without help. His wealth, which once granted him power and status, could no longer help him do even the simplest things, like holding a spoon or taking a few steps. I have seen many wealthy individuals enter the nursing home with large savings accounts, yet they no longer had the strength to enjoy them. Some owned grand houses, but could no longer climb the stairs. Some could afford the finest meals but could not eat them because their digestive systems had deteriorated. Some had traveled the world but now could only sit in one place, looking at life through a small window. From these people, I learned an undeniable truth. Money can buy comfort, but without health, you cannot enjoy anything. If I could turn back time, I would take better care of myself, treating my body as the greatest treasure. I would walk more instead of sitting for hours. I would choose healthier meals instead of eating carelessly. I would allow myself to rest instead of letting stress and pressure consume my life. In the end, money means nothing if you don't have the health to enjoy it. Lesson 5. Material things lose their meaning over time. I once owned a spacious home filled with countless possessions I had accumulated over the years. My wardrobe was packed with outfits for every occasion, some of which I had never even worn. The shelves in my living room displayed souvenirs from my travels. I had a collection of expensive decorations, gifts from friends, and many things I once thought were important. But now I live in a small room at the nursing home, with only a few personal belongings. A tiny closet holds a few simple outfits. A framed old family photo sits on my bedside table. A book I read on sleepless nights is my only companion. And you know what? I don't miss any of the things I left behind. I realized that for years, I had spent too much time collecting material possessions without understanding that, in the end, they were just lifeless objects. The things I once cherished and spent my hard-earned money on with excitement now sit abandoned, forgotten by time. The expensive furniture I once took pride in is probably gathering dust in a house I no longer live in. The stylish clothes I once adored hold no meaning anymore. I only need a warm coat and a comfortable pair of slippers. But there is one thing that never fades: memories. Sitting alone in this small room, I don't think about the things I owned. I think about the moments I lived. I remember cozy evenings with family, laughter-filled times with friends, and the heartfelt conversations I once had. These memories are the only things that truly matter because they stay with me, no matter how much time passes. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't spend so much effort chasing material things. I wouldn't buy another decoration just to fill an empty corner of my home. I would use that money to take my family on a trip, to create a day worth remembering with the people I love. I would never regret not buying a luxury item, but I would regret missing out on a meaningful moment I could have shared. Ultimately, what remains is not what we own, but what we have experienced. And when time moves forward, the only thing that truly matters is the people we share our moments with. Lesson 6. Independence is priceless. Imagine this. You have spent your whole life freely making your own decisions, choosing what to eat, what to wear, where to go, what to do. Then, one day, even the simplest tasks become impossible. You need someone to help you get dressed, hold your arm as you walk, and feed you every spoonful of your meals. I have seen this happen to so many people in the nursing home. Some were once strong and independent, yet now they can't even get out of bed without help. Some used to drive anywhere they pleased, enjoying long road trips. But now, they can't even step past their room's doorway without a wheelchair. And what pains them the most isn't aging or illness. It's losing control over their lives. If you can still move freely, care for yourself, drive wherever you want, and choose your meals, cherish it. Don't wait until your body no longer obeys you. Don't wait until you need help with even the smallest tasks to realize that independence is one of the greatest gifts life has given us. So starting today, take care of your body, exercise, stay healthy, and live actively. Once you lose your independence, you will have no money, and nothing in the world can buy it back. Lesson 7. Each day is a gift. Don't waste it. One morning, I woke up as usual, but there was something different about the atmosphere in the nursing home. Heavier, quieter. I soon found out why. An elderly man, someone I had often spoken with in the evenings, had passed away in his sleep. Just the night before, he had been sitting with us, reminiscing about his childhood, his face lighting up as he recalled the mischievous things he did as a boy. He had mentioned that he wanted to try his favorite soup that day, and that he planned to write a letter to his grandson, whom he hadn't spoken to in years. But he never got the chance. In a single night, he disappeared from this world. That moment left me speechless. I realized how fragile life truly is. Just a day before, he was here, full of stories and plans. And in the blink of an eye, it all vanished as if it had never been. I thought about myself, about all the times I had postponed the things that truly mattered. How often had I said, "I'll do it tomorrow," when I wanted to check in on a friend? How many meaningful moments had I missed because I was too preoccupied with unnecessary worries? How many days had I let slip away without truly living? We spend too much time thinking about things that don't matter. We worry about problems that may never happen. We dwell on the past, things we can never change. We postpone apologies, delay reunions, and forget our dreams, always telling ourselves that one day we'll get to them. But the truth is that one day may never come. From that moment on, I decided not to wait anymore. I would say what I needed to say. Spend time with the people who mattered and cherish every moment, no matter how small. Because every day that we wake up, we can see the light, we can breathe, and feel the world around us. That is already an irreplaceable gift. So don't waste it. Live so that you can smile without regret when the final day comes. The greatest lesson: live while you can. After everything I've experienced and seen, I've realized the most important truth. Don't wait to start living. We often think there will be a perfect time to enjoy life. One day, when we have enough money, enough time, and enough health when things finally fall into place. But the truth is that perfect time will never exist. If we keep waiting, we will spend our entire lives in hesitation, only to realize that it is too late and that time waits for no one. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. Don't let genuine emotions be buried beneath pride or hesitation. Call an old friend instead of thinking, maybe later. Create meaningful memories instead of making excuses about being too busy. Spend time with family and the people who truly matter because you wish you had one more moment with them one day. Each morning, cherish the sunrise as if it could be your last. Don't hold back a smile, a hug, a thank you, or an I love you. Let every day be more than just another passing day. Let it be a part of a life well lived. Because when the final moment arrives, our regrets won't be about the things we did, but the moments we let slip away. Every day is a precious gift. Open it, embrace it, and make the most of it. Don't waste your life waiting.